Hari Bol, new one. Hari Bol, Mataji. Welcome. Thanks for joining our kirtan. Oh, this one. You left it behind. Thank you. પાછળની લાઈટ ચાલુ રાખજો, આગળની બે લાઈટ બંધ. Hare Krishna. Thank you for the third day session, session 4. We are going to start session 4 today. We'll do some kirtan. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Guru Pimanandi Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Stotara Sada His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Granth Raj Bhagavad-Gita Ki Jai Guru Pimanandi. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namaste Hare Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale. Guru Dasya Advaita Swami Tinamana. Pension है Bhagavad-Gita box लेवा होना English में Bhagavad-Gita box लेवा होना चाहिए मती make English नहीं Bhagavad-Gita काढ़ी ने बे तेलुगु मुकान दिखाई ओ तेलुगु ओके चौथ इंग्लिश ने बे तेलुगु ओके या नहीं जरा उसे साथ को क्या आवाज है ओके ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmitan yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manabhistam Sapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavansya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagala Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanto Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Lishamana Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavane Bhayo Vaishnavi Bhayo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, thank you for coming. Last few days, we have been discussing about the essence of Bhagavad-Gita and taking different topics of Bhagavad-Gita. Right. First day, we did the introduction of Bhagavad-Gita, then went into this very important topic, who am I? And discussed about soul. Then we discussed about who is God. Again, another important topic discussed in Bhagavad-Gita, Ishvara, Jiva. Today we are going to discuss about material nature, Prakriti, Kala, time, and Karma. Right. That's what we are going to discuss. Big topic, session 4 of our discussion. And we'll see how it goes and if we can cover the entire topic and get into session 5, which talks about yoga. Right, talks about yoga. As we were discussing the first day about these 3 paths, Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. What is Sambandha? Relationship. Relationship between whom? Between Jiva, soul, and God. Then Abhideya, the process. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Sadhansiku. Abhideya is a process. And third is the ultimate goal, love of God. Prayojan. Right. So we'll discuss on this session 4. Right. Material nature, time, and karma. So, starts with, when we take this body, the other day we were discussing about this body, right? The body is made of 5 gross elements and 3 subtle elements. Which are the 5 gross elements? Earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And 3 gross elements is, 3 subtle elements is mind, intelligence, and false ego. Right. So, when we take birth in this material world, right, whether you are born with a silver spoon or you are born where you have to think about the next meal, how to fill your belly. In either of that conditions, you are guaranteed miseries, right? In either of these conditions. These miseries, Bhagavad-Gita describes that as Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Right? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Birth, death, old age, and disease. That is granted for everybody. Each and every living entity. Those 4 conditions causes miseries, right? So everyone is full of anxieties because of the material existence. Apart from those 4 miseries is Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika, and Adhyatmika. What is Adhyatmika? Adhyatmika. Misery is caused by one's own mind. Adi Bhautika, misery is caused by other living entities. Adi Daivika, misery is caused by natural calamities. Right. So the question comes, why am I suffering? Right. Where do I go after this life? Right. Many times people were atheists, has no conception of life after death. So they are not worried that, okay, this life, we have to prepare ourselves. They're not worried about that. They want to live life, what they call as king size, live life king size. And not just recent times, even in other yogas, we have people like, there was an atheist, like Kapila Muni. Kapila Muni, there is also the incarnation of the Lord, Kapila Muni, the son of Devahuti. But there is an atheist Kapila whose philosophy was, Rinam Kitva Pibat Jivet, Yavat Jivet, Sukham Jivet. Charvaka Muni said that. Charvaka Muni said that, not Kapila Muni. Charvaka Muni said that. Beg, borrow, or steal. Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Shri Panchatattva ki jai. Yavat Jivet Sukha Jivet. Rinam Kritva Pibat Jivet. Beg, borrow, or steal, but eat ghee. Right. Live life, enjoy life to your fullest extent. Live life king size. Enjoy life to your fullest extent. Who has seen life after death? Ultimately, everything is bhasmi bhutaha. No, everything is going to turn into ashes. Right? Ultimately, everything is going to turn to ashes. That's the atheist philosophy. Ultimately, everything is going to turn to ashes. So why worry? Why worry about it in this life? Right. So, but the inquisitive person would think about, why am I suffering? Right? Why am I suffering? Where do I go after this life? So Krishna answered these questions and relieved Arjuna from all miseries. He mentioned about the spirit souls. Who are we? We are spirit souls. That originally we were in the spiritual world, right? And somehow or other we had come down, Nitya Baddha, eternally conditioned. We have a spiritual body. The spirit soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. It is Satchidananda, just as the Supreme Lord is Satchidananda, right? Satchidananda means full of eternality, full of knowledge, full of bliss. So we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, right? The whole world is looking for happiness outside, right? Hankering for happiness. We have these different senses, and each and every senses are going in different directions to hanker for happiness, right? To hanker for happiness. But ultimately, the real happiness is within. And that happiness is not temporary, it is permanent. It's bliss. That's why it is defined as bliss. Bliss is permanent happiness. It's not like a temporary happiness that our senses are satisfied, I'm happy, the senses are not satisfied, I'm not happy, I'm distressed. Right. Many times happiness is defined as the intrinsic distance between two problems. And it's relative. It is relative. One person's happiness could be other person's distress. Right? If your car breaks down, are you happy or distressed? Distressed. If you tow your car and take it to the mechanic, is the mechanic happy or in distress? Yeah. So same incident, your car broke down, you are in distress, but the mechanic is happy. Oh, the car is towed, now I can charge double. Right. So one person's happiness could be other person's distress. Right. So happiness is very relative term. But the real happiness is within, ananda, bliss. And that one gets when he is in his real nature. Right. Our real nature is we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. That's our real nature. But we forget it, we identify ourselves with the body. Right? We identify ourselves with the body. And the moment we identify ourselves with the body, the pains and pleasures of the body rule our happiness and distress. That's why in Bhagavad-Gita, in the 14th verse of the 2nd chapter, Krishna says, Matra sparshatu kaunteya shitoshna shukadakadaha agamapaina nityam tam titiksheshva bharata. Right? This non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress are like summer and winter seasons. O Siyana Bharata, Krishna is addressing Arjuna, O Siyana Bharata, arise above that. They arise due to sense perception. They arise due to sense perception. The senses are satisfied, it's happy. Senses are not satisfied, we are distressed. Right. Yeah. So when we want to enjoy this material world, we get a body to enjoy. The Lord grants us suitable body to fulfill our desire. Right? And that body is made of these 5 gross elements and 3 subtle elements. The spirit soul accepts a body that is human in form, but gradually degrades to animal, plant, and aquatic forms. Right? The process by which a soul transmigrates from one body to another is known as reincarnation. What does reincarnation mean? Life does not begin at birth nor end with death. It's just a temporary stage. It is widely accepted by philosophers and scientists and accepted in various faiths in one form or the other form, like Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Sanatana Dharma. The scientific proof for reincarnations, science can never actually prove anything, but research work done in this field, like we discussed about this Dr. Ian Stevenson, his work, a psychiatric professor, who did a lot of work and ultimately established so many cases of person remembering past life memories. Not all of us remember, but there are persons who could remember past life memories. So when reincarnation is accepted to be true, then it implies we are not these bodies, we are spirit souls. But if you have faith in Bhagavad-Gita, it talks about Dehino asmi ata dehe kamaram javanam jara tatha dehantara prapti dira tatana muyati. As an embodied soul continuously passes from boyhood to youth to old age, similarly at the time of death it passes into another body. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. 13th verse of the second chapter. Right? It directly talks about reincarnation. Directly talks about reincarnation. Right. So what does the soul carry with him? Right. Pious activities, sinful activities, bhakti. Right. As soon as we perform an activity, there is going to be a reaction. Right. When we discuss karma, we'll discuss about it more in detail, about how this entire cycle works. The moment you perform an activity, you are going to get a reaction. Right? Could be good reaction, could be bad reaction. Right? So could be pious activity, could be sinful activity. Right? Or bhakti, devotional service. Right? Like 3 kinds of karma is defined in Bhagavad-Gita as akarma, karma and vikarma. Right. Vikarma is activities which are performed which are against the scriptures. And for that, sinful activities, we get sinful reactions, we get bad reactions to that. Or karma, pious activity. Right? Or akarma, activities which are performed based on the guidance of higher authorities, scriptural injunctions. Right? That's bhakti, akarma. For that, neither we get positive reaction, nor we get a negative reaction. Right? Because the moment you perform even a pious activity, what is pious activity? You do something good for somebody is a pious activity. The moment you perform a pious activity, you still have to take birth again to enjoy the fruits of that pious activity. Or you perform a sinful activity, you still have to take birth to be punished for that sins which you have performed. Not a single thing is escaped in the eyes of the Supreme Lord. Why? Because the Supreme Lord Himself is sitting in each and everybody's heart as Paramatma. The Supreme Lord is sitting in each and everybody's heart as Paramatma. There's this pastime of Mundaka Muni, right? I often refer that pastime of Mundaka Muni because it's so relevant. Right? That this Mundaka Muni, he was performing austerities, tapasya, and somehow some dacoits went into his ashram. And the guards were chasing those dacoits. So later on the guards also went to that ashram, and by that time the dacoits had already fled from the ashram. Right. But there were enough signs that the dacoits were there in the ashram. So what did the guards do? They captured Mundaka Muni, thinking that he is an accomplice of the dacoits. So they captured the Mundaka Muni and brought him in front of the king. He was about to be killed. And he was such a powerful sage. He felt completely humiliated. And somehow or other, at the last moment, the king finds out about it and he is released. But he is humiliated. And he is so powerful sage that he could remember his entire lifetime. So he challenges Yamraj to demand the reason for this humiliation. That why I had to go through this humiliation. Why I had to go to this humiliation. I have not committed a single sin throughout my whole life. Right? So what did Yamraj say? The Yamraj said that, okay, when you were a child, you are passing a string to the eye of a lance. You're passing a string through the eyes of a lens. Lens is a fly. Right? So as a child, he was playing with a fly, a living entity, and he was passing a string through the eyes of that fly. And for that, he had to go through the simulation after, later stage. See? So Mundaka Muni says, oh, you are punishing me for some activity which I performed as a child in ignorance. I had to go through the simulation. See, as a powerful sage, he curses Yamraj. Right, he curses Yamraj that, okay, I got punished. Because the moral of the story is, okay, first of all, ignorance is not an excuse. Right? Just because you are a child, even now, as a child, if you kill somebody, you will still be taken to a juvenile court. So ignorance is not an excuse. Right? Right. But still, as a child, you will get some lesser degree of punishment. So, Mundaka Muni curses Yamraj that you punish me for some activity which I performed in innocence as a child. So, I curse you that you will take birth in the family of a maidservant. Right? So, Yamraj takes birth as Vidura. Now, how this entire pastime, see? Yamraj takes birth as Vidura in this Mahabharata. Right. But see, not a single activity gets unnoticed in the eyes of the Lord. Right, gets unnoticed in the eyes of the Lord. Similarly, devotional service, in Bhagavad-Gita, in the 2nd chapter, it's mentioned, Nehabhikrama nastu asti pratyavayana vidyate swalpapi dharmasya turate mahato bhayat. There is no loss or diminution in this process. Even if a single activity you perform, devotional service, it's not lost. It's a positive balance. Right? Say, like, suppose you offer flower offer to the Lord to somebody, that's also devotional service. The next lifetime you start from where you left. If you are not done enough devotional service to go out of this material existence, you will still take birth. Suchinam Simantam Gehe. Either in a pious family or a wealthy family where you will start your devotional service from where you left. Right. So completely positive bank balance, it never gets bankruptcy that the government can close. Right. Oh, we don't have money to pay the stuff, the government closes. Right. Bankruptcy, chapter 11. No. Positive bank balance. It never gets vanished. Right. Yeah. So in this material world, we get small amount of sense enjoyment, but one fine day we are chucked out of the body. Right. So we may go through various enjoyments in our life, but when that moment comes, when we have to leave this body, we'll be chucked out of our body. So our life is a waste of time and hard work if we do not try to understand the meaning of life by asking questions like, what is reincarnation? What does it happen? Who or what is reincarnated? How long we have to wait between births? Does it happen to all of us or only a few? So sure way to understand a machine is to learn about it from the person who built it. So who built a machine? The Supreme Lord. So we have to take shelter of Bhagavad-Gita, the manual. Similarly, the direct way to understand the machinery of the universe, including the subtle machinery of reincarnation, is to learn about it from the person behind it, the Supreme Lord, right? Because He is the one who will give us guidance. If we are sincere, He will guide us and each and every step, right? If we are going through some problems, the moment we take shelter of Bhagavad-Gita, many times when you open the page, the solution is right there. And it has not happened to one person, it has many devotees have discussed. They will also attest to that yes, it has happened. We're in some dilemma, we open the page, and somehow the solution is right there in black and white. Right? So, we don't even have to go to the table of contents, right? When our car breaks down, when you take shelter of the manual, we have to go to the table of contents. Okay, this ignition light is coming. What should I check now? Right? Why? Because when we are in anxieties, the Lord within us is witnessing that. And the moment we take shelter of the Lord takes 10 steps towards us to help us. To help us. Right? So we must learn the truth from scriptures like Bhagavad-Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, or from a bona fide spiritual master, sadhu. Right? So there are 6 changes of body which are mentioned. Right? Birth, we take birth, growth, the body, after the soul enters into the womb, the embryo, slowly it starts growing, even after when the baby is born, slowly the body around the soul starts growing. Then the third change is the maintenance. You go to grow and grow. Then you create byproducts. Then it starts dwindling, and ultimately death. There are the 6 changes of the body. We cannot stop these changes by scientific advancement. So there is no question of stopping that. Right? So there is an example of the moon where it may appear to be absent on a no moon day, or when the moon goes on waxing, then full moon day comes. But is the moon really changing? No. It is just because of our relative position that we think about this waxing or waning moon. Right. Similarly, we identify ourselves with the changing bodies, sometimes childhood, boyhood, youth, old age, or death. Or sometimes plant's body, animal's body, or a bird's body. We are identifying ourselves with all these different phases of material existence, but actually we are unchangeable souls. What changes? The body changes, the soul does not change. Even when your body grows to, say, like 50 years, 55 years, the soul many times is still young, right? It's always young. So, I want to run, right? I want to run a marathon. Suddenly, the body says, oh, come on. Body does not cope up with that. Right. So the soul does not grow old. What really happens? The body. The body has become weak. Body dwindles. And Bhagavad-Gita says, as a person puts on new garments, vasansi jinani yata vihaya navnati gnati naro prani. Person puts on new garments, giving up old and useless ones. Similarly, the soul accepts new material bodies, giving up old and useless ones. So the external body is just like a coat for the soul. So what is the spiritual evolution? The spiritual evolution, not the material evolution which Darwin said, okay, we came from the monkeys, but the spiritual evolution is the evolution of consciousness. Is the evolution of consciousness, which is bringing us more close to our spiritual being. Right. The spiritual evolution is in the material state, we are connecting ourselves with the body and we are identifying ourselves with the body. One day we'll think that we are Hindu, another day we'll think that we are Muslims, another day we'll think that we are Christians, another day we'll think that we are Indians, or another day we'll think that we are Pakistanis, or Americans, or this or that, or white or black, or this or that. Right, or this gender, or that gender, or even a bird or a beast. Right. Identifying ourselves with the body on the material consciousness level. But the spiritual evolution takes place when we advance to that stage of identifying, of inquiring about our dharma, of ultimately completely identifying our real identity that we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Right. And that's possible, like in our first day's session itself, we discussed that in the human form of life, you'll be able to inquire about the dharma, and ultimately, if you are serious, you'll get to that stage about identifying your real identity, that who you are. Right. And if we don't, we'll fall into the degraded state of life. Right. Like we see this wonderful painting of continuous evolution taking place from different stages of life and going into different species of life. There are 8.4 million species of life, according to Brahma Vaivarta Puran. 9 lakhs species of aquatic life, 2 million species of plants and trees, 1.1 million species of insects, 1 million species of bird life, 3 million species of beasts, and 400,000 species of human life. According to biology, it's just the biology is applied to the gross physical appearance of the body. And they'll say human life means one life. But according to the Vedic meaning, it is 400,000 levels of consciousness in human life. And we'll talk about what those levels of consciousness mean. Just as we have these 3 modes of material nature, Sattva gun, Rajo gun, and Tamo gun, mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. And based on different permutations and combinations of mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, we take these 8.4 million different species of life. And even in the human form, we will have different varying degrees of consciousness based on this combination of goodness, passion, and ignorance. In someone, goodness will be dominant. In some other species, even human beings, in some human beings, goodness will be dominant. In some human beings, passion will be more dominant. In some human beings, ignorance will be more dominant. And that would be known by their activities. In lower levels of consciousness, a living entity, although in a human body, behaves just like an animal. In a higher level, his consciousness might be slightly evolved and he may be selfish for his own family, or still higher level is concerned about his community, state, country. He becomes philanthropist, does some pious activity, social worker. But after many lifetimes, he comes to a stage where he inquires about God. Bahunam Janmanante, it's mentioned even the Jnana yogis, after many, many lifetimes, ultimately they come to the stage that they inquire that, after many, many lifetimes, the Jnani, in one lifetime he inquires that ultimately all this thing is coming from Vasudeva. Vasudevam sarvamiti, sa mahatma dullabha. The living entity develops several conceptions about God in many, many lifetimes until he comes to Krishna. See, and it's nicely chanting and performing devotional service. The varieties of life forms are products of combination and permutation of the three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And the life forms are just like temporary houses of different shapes and sizes in which the living being temporarily resides. And the price for obtaining a specific form is karma. The forms governed by the three modes puts a constraint on the qualities and activities of living beings' consciousness. And although all animals are in the mode of ignorance, they are influenced by the modes of goodness and passion in varying degrees also. Just like we'll see that cow is very simple, mild in behavior, and is influenced by mode of goodness to some extent, right? Or the ferocious nature of lion reveals his passionate nature. Or the camels are completely in the mode of ignorance. What is the special characteristics of a camel that is mentioned that is in mode of ignorance? Will anybody like to guess? Yeah, and it's enjoying. Like the camel goes to this thorn, cactus, as Mataji mentioned, and eats the cactus. Why? Because that thorn pricks its own tongue so that blood can ooze out of the tongue, and the camel somehow likes the taste of its own blood. Right. Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Shri Panchatattva ki jai. Yeah. So that's why they mentioned that they are in mode of ignorance. It's trying to like its own blood. Right? And it does not mind eating thorns. Three modes of material nature again. So this material nature, the gunas, are compared to a rope, just like the rope is made by twisting fiber in threefold process. Similarly, the three modes of nature are twisted together innumerable times. The material energy binds us more and more based on these three modes of material nature, just like this rope by which we can completely bound. And this bondage of the material nature is called pavarga, right? In the pavarga, alphabetical of Sanskrit, pavarga is pa, fa, ba, bha, ma, right? That's called pavarga. So what is pa? Pa stands for parishram. Then fa, fena, parishram. When you work hard day and night, what happens? Foam comes out. Or like fena. From mouth coming due to heavy hard work for sense gratification. Does that sound familiar to all of us? hard work at day and worn out at night. Ba is bandha or bondage. Bha is bhaya or fear. Pa, fa, ba, bha, ma. And ultimately, mrityu, death. So this Krishna consciousness is all about bringing us to the stage of apavarga. Beyond this pavarga, where there is no hard struggle for existence, no material bondage, fear or death. Right? Gita sahasramidam punyam ya patet bhayata puman. When we take shelter of Bhagavad-Gita, ya patet bhayata puman, fear automatically goes away. Fear automatically goes away. Fear automatically goes away. Why? Because Krishna consciousness brings us to the stage of apavarga. We don't have to struggle day and night, parishram, right? You just have to chant the holy names, eat Krishna Prasad, right? Many times when we struggle outside, we see the devotees, oh, how come they're enjoying? They're just lazy, but they're here. They take the darshan, or they eat the prasad, and they're happy. Right? They're happy. And so there's no hard struggle for existence, no material bondage, fear or death. Death comes to a devotee as well as non-devotee. Right? But there's no fear of death in devotee. Just like an example is given about this cat and a kitten. Right? The same mouth of the cat to a mice, it is like death personified, right? That way, if I'm caught by the cat, I will die. But the kitten, the cat even carries the kitten by her mouth. And the kitten sees it as, oh, I'm completely under the shelter of my mother. Right? Yeah. So, similarly, a devotee, when he is taking the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is completely carefree. Just like the kitten, he is completely carefree. Right? There are various characteristics mentioned in the divisions of faith about a person in mode of goodness. He is wiser than others, lives life according to scriptures, not so much affected by material miseries, sense of advancement in material knowledge, sense of happiness, more or less free from sinful reactions. What is a representative type of person, mode of goodness? Now, each and every person has these three modes of material nature. Goodness, passion, ignorance. But those who are mentioned that they are in mode of goodness, in them, mode of goodness is more dominant. Not that passion, ignorance is completely absent, but mode of goodness is more dominant. Right? Example of Brahmana. Right? Mode of goodness. They want to teach. Right? They want to teach. Philosophers always thinking but even mode of goodness binds them to this material world. Mode of goodness also binds them to this material world. Or you see, person in mode of passion, right, is characterized by attraction between man and woman, develops hankering for material enjoyment, right. works very hard, spending for good causes like building hospitals, giving charity. They make a show of being religious, but it is more or less a social affair. And we'll see today more or less the whole world is in mode of passion. They are working like cats and dogs, going out daily, many times forgetting the purpose of life. Forgetting the purpose of life. Just like a donkey carrying a load, thinking that, oh, once I drop this load, I will get some nice prasad. I'll get a pat on my back. And I'll be rewarded. And when he drops the load, the master says, oh, okay, yeah, no, just a little bit more. Go to this other place. Right? We'll extend your reward. We'll give you more reward at that time. And again, he carries a load. And many times, a person who does not have any focus in life is just work-centric, day and night, working. Right? More of passion. The Vedic society is considered to be in more mode of goodness. Present condition is more in mode of passion. Or in mode of ignorance, we will find he does not understand what is what. He is very lazy and unclean. He has no interest in spiritual life. He is very inactive and dull. Sleeps at least 10 to 12 hours. Mode of ignorance. Qualities of mode of ignorance. Always appears to be dejected. To make them happy, they take shelter of intoxication. Right? So that they can forget their distressful situation. He is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. Whatever he does is good neither for him nor for anyone. And always procrastinates things. Oh, the world is not good, this is not good, my work is not good. And he just wants, why he wants to sleep? So that he can hallucinate in his sleep. And at least in that way I feel happy. Mode of ignorance. Qualities, what kind of foods they eat. Bhagavad-Gita completely describes about, in mode of goodness, they normally tend to eat more mild food, fruits, and all those are food for people in mode of goodness. For people in mode of passion, they have to eat very spicy, hot food. For people in mode of ignorance, they eat meat. And similarly, each and every activity is also classified in these three modes of material nature. So where does these three modes of material nature come from? These three modes of material nature, the Lord mentions Tribhi Gunamai Bhavai Ebhim Swaramidam Jagatam Mohitam Nami Janati Mahamebhyam Parvavayam. That I have created these three modes of material nature. The whole world is bewildered by these three modes of material nature. The whole world is bewildered by these three modes of material nature. And though I have created it, I am inexhaustible. I do not come under the influence of these three modes of material nature. Or words later, Daivi Esha Gunamai Mam Durate Mam Eva Prapadante Mayamitam Parantite. It is very difficult to cross this, to overcome these three modes of material nature. Right? It is very difficult. That's why this material existence is considered as a blazing fire of material existence. An ocean. We cannot cross the ocean. We'll drown in the ocean. Sansara Davana Lalida Loka Tarnaya Karunya Gana Ganatma. But one would take shelter of the Supreme Lord. To him, this large ocean is nothing but water into a footprint of a calf, which you can easily overcome. Which you can easily overcome. Right? Or 45th verse, Traigunya Vishya Veda Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Sema Atmavan. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and free from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Again, same instruction which later on he mentions, Daivi Shagana Maimama Mamdrutyaya. Become transcendental to these three modes. Become transcendental to these three modes. Right? We generally think that we are in control of our actions and that we are making our own decisions. But Krishna, the Supreme Authority, declares that this is not the case. Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasa ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself to be the doer. Thinks himself to be the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. That are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. Right? In the second chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita, there is a debate that who actually does the activity. Right? Does the body do the activity? Body by itself is made of earth, water, fire, air and ether. Gross body by itself does not do any activity. Then who does the activity? Does the soul do the activity? So, there's a verse in Bhagavad-Gita in the second chapter where Ascharyavat, that this soul is very amazing. Right. This central point of who is doing the activity. Neither the body is doing the activity, nor the soul is doing the activity. Oh, is God doing the activity for us? So ultimately, the entire process starts where we desire. The soul, the symptom of soul is it can desire, it has a free will that it can desire. Either it can desire to serve the Lord, or it can desire to enjoy its own senses. Right? Or be in illusion. Either take shelter of the internal energy of the Lord, or take shelter of the external energy of the Lord. In either of that situation, the soul is the one which just desires. Then, the super soul permits that desire, and through the medium of these three modes of material nature, the desires are carried out. Right? Through the medium of these three modes of material nature, the desires are carried out. So we have the soul, we have the super soul, and we have the three modes of material nature. So all the three are involved in actually doing any activity. So that's where this phrase comes, man proposes, God disposes. We can just propose that I want to carry out this duty, I want to carry out this desire. Whether it is a bad desire or a good desire is a different thing. And sometimes there will be a tussle. If it's a bad desire, there will be a tussle between the soul and the super soul, where in form of guilty consciousness, the super soul will warn us. Are you sure? Are you sure? And say, oh, no, we want to do this. So, okay, super soul says, okay, carry it out. And then, via this network of senses, we carry out that activity. Right? Yeah. So bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So people are acting as puppets of the forces of nature, right, of the three modes of material nature. See, they are hanging. The three modes binds us to the material world. There are 14 planetary systems. We are in the 7th, known as Bhuloka. Above us, there are 6. Bhuvaloka, Swaloka, Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka. And below us is 7. Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, and Patal. Those which are higher than Bhuloka, we call that as heavenly planets. Those which are lower than Bhuloka, we call that as hellish planets. Right? But you see that there is gradual progression even in heavenly planets, right, all the way till Tapaloka or Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, the abode of Lord Brahma. Right? And similarly, when you go in the downwards, Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, it goes all the way to Patal Loka. Patal Loka is the lowest of the hellish form of planets. The pious beings are elevated to higher planets, and impious beings are cast down into lower planets. Again, Bhagavad-Gita, Urdhvam gacchati satvasta, madhya tistanti rajasa, jaganya gunavrittista, adho gachanti tamasa. Those in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. In the mode of passion, live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down. Jaganya gunavrittista, adho gachanti tamasa, adho gachanti tamasa. They go down to the hellish worlds, right? The example of the jail. In the A-class jail, right, there are different cells. You know, if a VIP is put in jail, he will get an A-class jail. He might have more amenities in that jail, in his cell, more comforts, a better bed, right, newspaper to read probably, or more freedom, right? But he's still in jail. Just like a person going to heavenly planets, right? He has more luxuries than the person in the earthly planets. He has more luxuries. He has more luxuries. Or a person in a B-class jail, you know, they have to work hard. Like human beings situated on the earthly planet, they have to work hard to, you know, maintain themselves. Mode of passion is very dominant. Or C-class jail, where even when they are in jail, they are completely confined by shackles, kept in strong confinement. So in mode of ignorance, like trees and animals, right? Or those adho gachanti tamosa, taken to hellish planets, right? But whether they are in heavenly planets or they are in hellish planets, they are still in jail, right? A Brahma bhuvana loke punavartino Arjuna. All the way from Lord Brahma to an insignificant ant, everybody goes to this birth and death cycle. Everybody goes to this birth and death cycle, right? So even those who are in the heavenly planets, when their past activities are over, they come down, right? All men are forced to act helplessly according to the impulses, bonds, or modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Our real life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Under the illusion of goodness, however we look for this reality in mundane learning and a feeling of material satisfaction. In passion, we seek it in sex and possessions, and in ignorance, we seek it in sleep and intoxication. Thus, our pure spiritual nature is perverted by impure desires born of the modes of nature. Krishna is completely independent. He can do whatever he likes. Since living entities are tiny parts of God, we also have his quality of independence, but only in a minute quantity. Right. So according to our material desires, our body acts either in goodness, passion, ignorance, or some combination. These desires spring from our bodily concept of life. The ways we try to fulfill these desires are also material. Right. The whole meaning of that is, even if we are in the heavenly planets, once our past activities are done, the results of past activities are completed, we fall again to this Martya Loka. Right? So, again, now we'll discuss about the laws of karma, how karma acts. The soul resides within these two types of material bodies, a gross body and a subtle body. These bodies develop and function only because of the presence of the self within them. Right? The gross body is made of earth, solid, water, liquid, fire, jataragni, air, gases and ether. The gross body is called as Stula Sarira, while the subtle body is called Sukshma Sarira. The mind is a storehouse of previous experiences, unfulfilled desires and thoughts, and intelligence is a decision maker based on what is stored in our mind. Like say suppose one day we touch the blade of the fan and we are hurt. So the mind stores that impression that, okay, when you touch a moving blade, you will get hurt. So the intelligence next time when you are about to touch the blade, it kind of discriminates that, oh, if you touch the blade of a moving fan, you are going to get hurt. So that then the intelligence makes the decision that, okay, I should not put my finger in the moving blade of the fan. Well, false ego is the one which makes us think in illusion that, like ego is our real identity, but false ego makes us think that we are this body and makes us think that identify ourselves with the body. So subtle body and gross body are both covering on the soul. Such a soul is entrapped in this covering is called a conditioned soul. Like we talked about the conditioned soul and liberated soul the previous day. When the gross body is worn out and uninhabitable, defective and worn out, it leaves that body, which is called death. And the subtle body contains a record of all the living entities' thoughts, activities and desires. And it is this that determines the soul's next gross body. Right? What does that mean? That at the time of death, the gross body is left behind, but the subtle body of mind, intelligence, and false ego takes the soul to the next body, based on the impressions which is stored in the mind and the desires stored in the mind. By the laws of karma and under the direction of Paramatma, the living entity reincarnates in a body just suitable to the mentality, a change we commonly call as birth. Just like air carries fragrance of a rose, the subtle body very subtly carries the soul to another gross body at the time of death. According to the condition of the mind, at the time of death, the minute spirit soul enters into the womb of a particular mother, to the semen of a father, and then the soul develops the body given by the mother. The soul can travel with the subtle body under any circumstances. Right? Out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, hypnotic regression into past lives, yogi siddhis are therefore possible. Bodies are tailor-made to satisfy the soul's desire. Right? Lord is so merciful that He has this 8.4 million different living entities, or 8.4 million different sizes, right, where He suitably suits us, fulfilling our desires, right. If you want to sleep a lot, you can have a polar bear's body and can sleep for 6 months in a year. If you like to eat flesh, you can get a lion or a tiger's body. If you are very much into swimming, you'll get an aquatic body. If you are very much into flying, you'll get a bird's body, which can make it suitable for you in your next life. Or if you don't want to wear clothes, always want to expose yourself, you can get a tree body, right? We talked about these 8.4 million different species. But the living entity, the real soul, has a swarupa, the eternal form, the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And that does not change when the living entity moves from one body to another body. Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Right. So when we define karma, the function and activity of the living entity within the framework of his free will and under the influence of these three modes of material nature over a span of time is defined as karma. That's function and activity of the living entity, right? The living entity carries out some activity within the framework of his free will, right? Within the framework of his free will, based on his free will, he is carrying out his activity. And under the influence of these three modes of material nature, right? Under the influence of these modes of material nature, over a span of time is defined as karma. So we discuss about these three kinds of karma: karma, vikarma, and akarma. Apart from that, there is a cycle in which this is formed. That, okay, we carry out one activity. The moment we carry out that activity, right, what happens? We sow the seed, bija. We sow the seed, bija. Right. From that bija stage, we go to the kuta stage, then phalamukha stage, where the fruit starts forming on the tree. When the fruit starts forming on the tree, slowly we'll start seeing the reaction slowly manifesting for our karma which we have performed way back. Right. So that's why many times you will see karma or prarabdha karma, where the reactions has not yet manifested, and prarabdha karma when the reactions are manifested. Right. So, an example is given where, say, you are too fond of sweets and you eat sweets, and without any control. That's the activity which you are performing, eating sweets. Right. Slowly, you will start seeing symptoms. The moment you start seeing symptoms of, say, medical condition called diabetes, initially you start seeing symptoms of it. That is a stage called phalamukha, where the fruits have start bearing on the tree of reactions. And then it starts manifesting completely as prarabdha karma. And you start suffering from that particular reaction of the activity which you performed. And that prarabdha karma could be either in this lifetime or in the next lifetime. The prarabdha karma could be in this lifetime or the next lifetime. In the next lifetime, based on the desires which you developed in this lifetime, a suitable body is provided. Right? Yam yam vapi smaran bhava tajete ante kalevaram. Whatever state of consciousness one achieves at the time of death, he attains that type of body. So somebody can say that, okay, if it is just dependent on what state of consciousness I achieve at the time of death, why should I worry right now? Let me do whatever I do, and at the time of the death, I will think about the Lord. Right? That's like saying that you are going to run a marathon without any practice. Right? That why worry about a marathon? The day of the marathon, I will start running without any practice. Would you be able to run? No. Similarly, when you have no practice of thinking about God in your healthy state of mind, the time when you are leaving the body, if there is no practice, when you are so much suffering, you will never be able to think about the Lord. You will never be able to think about the Lord. So every action has an appropriate reaction. Someone is very charitable in his next birth, he may be very wealthy. If someone performs abortions, he or she will suffer the same fate in the next life. Good karma and bad karma. There exist so many disparities in society. Some are poor while some are rich. So people might ask, why is God unfair? Right? That, he is born with a silver spoon while I have to worry about my livelihood. What did I do wrong? Or in the case of Mundaka Muni, what did I do wrong? That I had to go through this humiliation. But in the eyes of the Lord, not a single activity gets unseen. Why? Because the Paramatma is sitting right within our heart, witnessing each and every of our activity. Not only witnessing each and every of our activity, but even witnessing what we are thinking. Right? In the previous ages, it was also sinful if we think bad. In these ages, there is a concession given that, okay, because otherwise we will be going through so much suffering. The concession given that, okay, at least thinking is excused. But ultimately, it starts with thinking, then feeling, and then willing. That's the start. One is born with a silver spoon, the other is born to a mother, a good lady who was abandoned while pregnant. So just a person selects an automobile based on personal driving needs and purchasing power. Material nature, responding to our desires and actions, arranges our body. If one performs action according to the laws of God, given in the scriptures, it is called karma or good karma. If he performs completely against the scriptures, it is called bad karma or vikarma. Ignorance of law is not an excuse. Just because you just got into a train not knowing that I will need a ticket, that does not mean that you will be excused. Or if you start driving on a highway not knowing the speed limit and you get pulled over and you tell the cop that, oh, I didn't know the speed limit, would you be excused? No. Similarly, Vedas are there, authorized spiritual teachers are there, knowledge is there. which are meant for humans. If one does not show interest in God and remains in ignorance, he faces punishment. Yeah. We see many people, they're born with a silver spoon, and at the time of death, they don't have any money. There's an example of this famous Michael Schumacher, right? He was a famous, he earned millions and millions of dollars. He went into an accident, and he is still in a stage of coma, and his medical bills are so much that he's gone into bankruptcy. His family has gone into bankruptcy to just carry out his medical expenses. Right? So at any time, a king can become a beggar, or a rich person can become a poor people. Why? Vedic knowledge will give that understanding. The moment the enjoyment of your pious balance in your bank balance goes away, you go to the miseries. So either you take the body of a king or you take the body of a dog, the body is miserable. It does not mean that when there is disease, only the dog's body suffers. But even a king's body suffers. Brahma Bhona Loke Puna Vartena Arjuna. Yeah, so these are different slides which we went over. With a broader vision of universal justice, we can see how each individual soul is alone responsible for his own karma. The laws of reincarnation operate impartially to award each living being the destiny has earned by his previous actions. God is an all-compassionate being. Human form is very rare and meant only for self-realization. One cannot misuse it. Animals don't get karma. So if we want to be just animalistic, we'll be given an animal's body. Like a snake biting somebody, he does not get karma, bad karma or something, because that's his natural tendency to bite. Right? But on a human platform, if you behave like a snake and in envy, you try to bite somebody, we get bad karma. We're talking about collective karma, right? Every one of us have to bear the reaction for our individual actions in future, but sometimes a whole family, society or country suffers. No. Bosnia, Vietnam or Africa suffer due to collective bad karma. Sometimes people who have previously committed heinous acts like cow killing or abortion are all pulled up together in one airplane, and they're all finished by one plane crash. Other way says, eternal damnation in hell after one sinful life. But does everything rest on our performance in this one lifetime only? It says, no, God is all merciful. He gives us innumerable opportunities to develop our inherent spiritual qualities through many lives. Brahmande Brahmite kono bhagyavan jiva, Guru Krishna prasada paye bhakti lata bija. After many, many lifetimes which we pass, in that lifetime, a very fortunate living entity comes into contact with Guru and Krishna, of learning about higher sciences. After many, many lifetimes. Right? So God gives us innumerable opportunities. Not that, you missed the one opportunity, that's gone. Now you will suffer. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we did cover this section. Are there any questions? Yes, Roji. Go ahead. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If someone who goes upward, why he comes down? Good question. Just like, say, suppose we have experience of our current life, right? So we are on the Earth planet. Now, we have an opportunity to perform pious activities or sinful activities, right? Based on our free will. Or devotional activity. Pious activity, sinful activity, or devotional activity, right? So pious activity grants us that, okay, either we go up or we'll again take birth in the human platform. Sinful activity takes us down or in other lower species, right? Devotional activity is a permanent bank balance that means ultimately it builds up to the stage where it takes us out of this material existence, right? So, even from when we talk about when we are completely engrossed in sinful, just like when we are talking about if we have performed enough past activity that we go up on the heavenly planet and then we enjoy, right? And even in that enjoyment state, at any time we forget our situation, why we are enjoying, we forget our position, we can come down. Example is given of Lord Indra. He is the king of heaven, heavenly planets. One day, his spiritual master Brihaspati came, and he completely ignored him. Right? He forgot. So, the saintly person comes, you bow down to him, he forgot. What happens? Brihaspati, sadhu curses somebody, so that the curse is also a blessing that after that, that person will realize the gravity of offense which he may commit. So, he curses him to take a hog's body. Right. So he comes down in the body of a hog. Right. And then he's enjoying. Right. The hogs also enjoy. How do they enjoy? They are piglets. They have sex. They are piglets. They enjoy by eating all the food which is in the waste. Right? They go into the waste and they get the food and they eat, very nice. He was completely enjoying. In the pig's body also, he goes to miseries, but they are so much in illusion that they think that, that is also enjoyment. Just like this camel, when it is eating thorn, cactus, though that thorn is cutting its tongue, camel is enjoying. Why? Because it is lacking the taste of its own blood. So in the hog's body, Indra was completely enjoying. So time came when that curse, the effect of that curse was gone, that okay, now it's time to come back, to resume your heavenly duties. So, and he's not coming back. So Lord Brahma comes down, reminds him that, okay, Your duty is done, come back. He said, no, I'm completely enjoying in this condition of a hog. Right. So an example that, okay, how he comes down and still is completely enjoying. Till he has to be awakened again. Many times it happens that, okay, we fall into some miserable condition, and in that miserable condition also, after some time, we make our way and start thinking, oh, even in this condition, it's good. Yeah. Yes. So, you will still have a free will in the heavenly planet to do a bad karma, to come down. Hmm? Hmm? Yeah. Yeah, if they don't do the bad karma, they will go up. To answer your question, if they don't, from that stage, just like in the Tapoloka, it's mentioned in the Tapoloka, everybody, the inhabitants of Tapoloka are performing meditation and yagya for austerities for thousands of years. So if they are just in that situation, just like even the inhabitants of Satyaloka, all devotional service they perform. So what happens to those inhabitants? After they leave the body, they go back to the service of the Supreme Lord. Right? But in that state, if they perform bad karma, that can happen. It's not that it cannot happen, that can happen. They can be pushed down. There are few examples, especially around Lord Indra, because when you are given more luxuries, in Bhagavad-Gita also it is mentioned, Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam yatalam yati chetasam. Too much wealth at times makes you forget about devotional service. Too much wealth at times makes you forget about devotional service. And you are talking about heavenly planets, there is so much comforts there. So it's a place of enjoyment, fine, wonderful, but it can make you forget about your ultimate goal. But you're right, that they are supposed to be in higher levels of consciousness, that if they do not forget, then they can go back. But otherwise, it's not a guarantee that they will always go back, they'll come back. So, many times, it's mentioned that even from higher planets, they prefer to come back on the Earth planet because Earth planet kind of gives them equal distribution of happiness and distress. In the hellish planet, it's all distress. In the Earth planet, there's an equal distribution of happiness and distress where they can think about the Supreme Lord much more on the Earth planet than heavenly planets. Just like if you are given a free ticket to go on a resort. And you say, oh, no problem, I'll go to this resort, I'll perform some devotional service there. How difficult it is for you to perform devotional service if you go to a resort and all the comforts are there. What's your answer, Ashish Prabhu?
Yes, very difficult.
Very difficult, right? Yeah, so it's practical experience. When too much comforts are around us and free time, resort, it's very easy to fall down. We have to be dragged in the Sangha of devotees that, we don't get allured by sense gratification. Is that all right, Ashish? Okay. Hare Krishna.
So, do you have to live through all your past good and bad karma, or can the Lord
Very good question. Do we have to live through all the past bad karma or good karma? If we live our normal life, yes. But Lord says, Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam raja. Right? Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayasmi masuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I get rid of all the sinful reactions for many lifetimes which you may have performed. So Lord personally guarantees that. Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam raja. So, in your normal life, if you have not taken to devotional service, it does not get wiped out. But if you have taken to devotional service, it gets wiped out. Otherwise, we have to live through good or bad karma. We have to suffer for the bad. We have to, and even if we just throughout our life, we have lived a morally sound life, then also we have to take birth again to enjoy that good karma which you have performed. Select throughout your life you have performed philanthropic activity, helped others, charitable activities. It's good karma. You take birth again to enjoy the results of that good karma. But devotional service is one which can wipe off everything and can take you out of the material ocean. Just like we talked about mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, right? Good karma is more in mode of goodness, but it's still under the modes of nature. We are still under the modes of nature. The only way to overcome those modes of material nature is to surrender to the Lord or perform devotional service to the Lord. Then it is easy to overcome. Otherwise, we'll be bound and we can take different births to enjoy the results of our good karma. Does that sound good? Okay. Yes, Roji. Yeah. Okay. The perception of Bhuloka, Bhuvaloka going up, where does it end? Like we go in the sky, we go to airplane, so the airplane, does it, when it goes to 30,000 feet, do we go to some other loka, right? No. We are still in this loka. We are still in this loka, Bhuloka. This Earth planet is not just the level Earth, but even the higher altitudes also is also on the Earth planet, Bhuloka. The birds living on, flying up in the sky is also on Bhuloka. Not that bird has gone into other loka. But no, our perception is only towards that sky, but beyond that also there are other material planets. We are not even able to see the Halley's planet. Not that, we dig a big hole to create a foundation for a house, we will start saying, oh, that's Atala, that's Vitala. We won't be able to go down, digging a big hole to go to the Halley's planet. Unless we have mystic siddhi, perfection, where we can go to heavenly planets or Halley's planets. The mystic yogis couldn't go to different planets. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, but that's, see, the one material universe we are not completely able to fathom. At least I am not able to fathom the complete material universe. There are 14 planetary systems, but I am able to just fathom, okay, I can see the sky, I can see the stars. But now, are those stars other planets? Now I can say, okay, oh, that's the reddish color star, so it's probably planet of Mercury or this or that, right, what we hear. But it does not become another loka. It does not become another loka. Right. That's still on the material realm. But means there are other Bhuvaloka, it's mentioned about some status above, after which the Bhuvaloka starts. And then means, similarly, the Satyaloka, we cannot even see it. Tapoloka, we cannot even see it. Right? Yes. Yeah, well, we can see higher stars, like we can, Chandraloka, we see Chandra, right? Chandraloka, we can see Chandra. But beyond that, we just see the moon. We cannot see Chandraloka, which is supposed to be a heavenly planet. We see Surya, but we cannot see Surya Loka, which is supposed to be heavenly planet. Similarly, we see the stars. We are talking about Dhruva Loka. We see the Dhruva, the pole star. But we will see Dhruva, the pole star. People on Bhuva Loka will also see the pole star. People on Tapoloka will also see the pole star. Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, in one Brahmanda. Like we see one bubble, and Mahavishnu exhales, there are millions of bubbles coming out, right? In one bubble is one Brahmanda. One bubble is one Brahmanda, which has all the 14 planetary system. In the bottom of the is a Garbhodaka ocean, where Garbhodaksai Vishnu is lying, right? From his navel sprouts the lotus stem, which goes to this 14 planetary system. Then there are various coverings in this 14 planetary system, right? Various coverings in this 14 planetary system. Mind, subtle coverings, mind, intelligence, false ego, right? Then beyond, there is the Vaitarini or Viraja river, which is dividing the material world and the spiritual world. Then there is Brahma Jyoti, the external effulgence of the Supreme Lord. And then beyond the Brahma Jyoti is the Vaikuntha Loka. Probably tomorrow I might show you that slide of that entire material universe. You might have seen that slide, right? Of the entire universe, poster depicted. Yeah.
Is there any doorway out apart from this that plan? Other ways, other lokas, is there any doorway out to go to spiritual? Is that only way that
No, from Earth planet or even from higher planets, people can go. Like it is mentioned, inhabitants of Satyaloka, mostly they go back. But it's also mentioned that many demigods, again, from the higher planets come down and then go back. Right?
we have seen that countless stars, that is
multiple universe.
This one is one universe, there could be multiple.
Oh, there are multiple, yes. This one is part of one universe. This one is one, about 14 planetary systems. This is one planetary system, is Bhuluka, of one universe. Yes.
We talked about many species, like 400,000 kinds of human species.
Yes.
If somebody says this is your first spiritual life, what is that?
This is your first spiritual life. What does that mean? First life.
No. Probably somebody has lived through many human lives.
Yeah.
This is the first spiritual life. What is that supposed to be?
Well, it's still a human life. It's not the first spiritual life. It's a human life. That's what you mean, right? Human life, but at least on this human platform, so first spiritual life means you have begin your spiritual journey in this lifetime. Right? Just like when we are born, from our astrological chart, various things are there, right? Oh, Ganam, our mind is in this state of consciousness when we are born, based on our stars. But somehow by the mercy of the devotees, Kripa, we have come to the spiritual platform, and this could be our first spiritual life, okay? First spiritual life means that, okay, in this lifetime, we have gone through this cycle so many times, but in this lifetime, somehow, we have begun some spiritual activity. So that's why it's considered that, oh, this is our first spiritual life. Right? So we have begun some spiritual activity, which is never lost. Nihabi kamana swasti pratyavayana vidase. It's never lost. Like you all sitting in this class and hearing Bhagavad-Gita or realization is never also lost. Right? No, you start from hearing more. Right?
So next life, from a spiritual point of view,
Yeah.
do you also fall back or do you start above?
You start above. There is no falling down. So that bank balance of spiritual credit does not go away. Bank balance of spiritual credit does not go away. Yes, Mataji, Satyanarayana Mataji. Yes. Okay. Gross and subtle bodies. So, we were discussing that verse, Bhumi apo nalo vayu, kama mana buddhi evacha. Bhumi apo nalo vayu, kama. Right? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Based on various degrees and compositions of earth, water, fire, air, and ether, our gross body is made. Right. On the earth planet, our gross body has predominant earth and water. Right? There's also some fire, there's also air, there's also ether, but mostly predominant earth and water. In a sun planet, that living entity is still living in a sun planet. It is predominant fire element in that body. But still gross body, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. When the soul leaves that body, the gross body still remains of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Whatever process you do, whether you bury it, it starts disintegrating. Whether you burn it, it starts disintegrating, and it starts going back into its... Now the earth will mix into the earth, the water will mix into the water, the fire will mix into fire. Right. Then beyond that is the subtle body. Mind, intelligence, and false ego. So we also have a subtle body. which is recording all our perceptions and experiences, the mind. The intelligence, which is deciphering our perceptions and making decisions. The false ego, which is identifying ourselves with the body. And beyond that is the real ego, the soul itself. So, at the time of leaving the body, the subtle body takes the soul, and the super soul the super soul also goes to the next body. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Is that all right, Mataji? Or?
So on the second body,
Yeah.
are you saying mind is like a database which has all
Yes.
information from before?
Mm-hmm.
And it is even from previous life.
Yeah.
How about intelligence? Intelligence is from this life that the people power intelligent, or is it also carried over from previous?
Also carried over from previous life.
So
Where does the intelligence come from? Lord says, Sarvasya Cham, there says Sannivishto. I am residing in each and everybody's heart. Mata Smriti Jnanam Apahanam Cha. I am intelligence, I am forgetfulness in each and every living entity. The Lord says, I'm providing the intelligence, I'm providing forgetfulness. So intelligence is also coming from the previous life. Now, we have to understand that this whole experience about exiting the body and entering another body is so painful that 99.9% of time, a person does not remember anything of the previous life.
but the mind knows. But your mind,
The mind has some perceptions, still some perception, vague perception still there. But just like you have a computer disk which goes through some hard virus attack, what happens? No, memory is kind of shaken up. You hardly remember anything when you come back, when you completely reboot. Does the soul?
incur karma. Is it forever pure and incur and like Lord or happiness?
Well, soul in its real state is always Satchidananda. But because it is carried with this subtle body, it still has this, to go through this karmic cycle.
That is the false. So if you get rid of false ego by Lord's mercy,
If-
all of this goes.
Yeah, if you get rid of false ego, then the real, no, then ultimately what happens, this subtle element also starts dissolving. And the same subtle body then becomes spiritualized. You have a spiritual mind, you have a spiritual intelligence, you have a real ego. Good question. And then, in that spiritual body, just like the Pandavas, when they left their body, they went in the, it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, they went in the spiritual bodies to the spiritual world.
So these subtle bodies are nothing but the sub-prasad that they say. The seven prasads, seven bodies. Water bodies.
I'm not too familiar about that, but subtle bodies, based on Bhagavad-Gita, it is this mind, intelligence and false ego. But no, you can, the Kundalini, I'm not too familiar about the doshas, but no, it's
Osha, not dosha,
Osha.
Osha. We have seven bodies, right? The stool is the outer one. Atma is the
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. The eight. Bhinna Prakriti Ashtada, eight. Earth, water, fire and ether, and then subtle body is the other three. 5 gross, the other 3 remaining, Bhinna Prakriti Ashtada, which is inferior energy. The Lord is saying that this is my inferior energy. Aparyam iti tem anyam. But beyond this inferior energy, there is a superior energy. right, which is the soul. Is that okay?
It is okay. I mean, my more question is if this is all true and everything is fine.
Yeah.
Is there a technique, like you can go to work, is there a technique that you can either hear or feel or see or soul or whatever it is, or you do that and then realize that that is real and this is not?
Well,
Till you don't have this is, with all due respect to Lord and everything, it is still a film. You want to believe it, it is such a good thing,
yeah.
but there is still an element of doubt that,
Mhm.
so you want to experience it. Of course.
Yes.
It cannot be heaven.
So,
How can you experience it and never be done again?
by performance of devotional service, just like Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, in Bhagavad-Gita is mentioned that this is the king of all education. It is the secret of all, it's most secret, Guyam. Pavitram idamam dharmam. It's pure. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmam. It can be practically experienced. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmam. Susakham kartma ved. That's joyfully performed. So when you perform devotional service, you yourself will experience that in so many different ways. That this doubt then automatically goes away. Initially, yes, when we are in a mental platform, that doubt will always remain there. Oh, I cannot see, how can I accept it? But the moment you perform devotional service, so many experiences will, even in a sadhaka, at just a student level, they will experience something which is something beyond. Many, even so-called philosophers, they would say, I had read an article from a philosopher. He said, I was completely, in philosophy, nothing in devotion. But somehow he went into a devotional environment and he landed up in Puri and he was seeing around him everybody dancing and he himself started experiencing. So, this is the devotional service. It's mentioned that by Atase Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahayam indriyai. By our blunt material senses, we won't be able to experience it. Sevo mukhe jivadao swam eva spurati ada. Right. But the moment it is spiritualized, Premanjana Surita Bhakti Vilochanena, when our senses are spiritualized, they are anointed by the love of God, automatically we will see that, just like I was giving an example, now he's retired, but we see the forms of the Lord here, Sri Radha Shyamsundar Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sri Gaur Nitai. They are nicely every day decorated with wonderful shringar, right? And that outfit is made by tailors, right? The sizes, that outfit made by tailors. We get it made in Vrindavan, but different places they make it. So, Bombay temple in Juhu, we had a tailor who is Muslim by birth, but has been employed by the temple and has been stitching for years the deity outfit with his entire team because it requires a lot of work to make a very opulent outfit for Janmashtami or something like that. So one day, one of the temple president there, ex-temple president now, he gave him cloth. This is the cloth, I want to get an outfit stitched for the deities. Do you know the measurement? And the tailor said, yes, I know the vague, rough measurement, but still to get the real measurement, I have to again go and measure it. So the president said, what do you mean that you have to again go and measure it? Don't you have the measurement? He said, yes, I have the measurement, but at times the Lord puts on weight, at times the Lord loses weight. A Muslim by birth had that realization that they are not just statues. They are personal forms of Lord. They are reciprocating with the devotees. And based on the love the devotees are feeding in the preparation, either they put on weight or they lose weight. Practical experience by that Muslim tailor. Yes. Uh-huh. Yes. That's true. So that mercy of the Lord comes in the form of kripa. When you are in an environment where you will just hear, right? Okay, this Muslim tailor goes there, he starts teaching in his office, but what is he hearing all the time when he comes to a temple? The Maha Mantra. What is he eating during his lunchtime? This Mahaprasad which is coming out. So that is all coming in form of mercy to him to spiritualize himself, to have those kind of experiences. Which initially we will just think that, oh, it is just food. But that food, because it is offered to the Lord, one day or the other, it will work towards transforming you. One day or the other, it will work towards transforming you. Yes.
Just extension to the earlier question. If the mercy, it is Lord's mercy in the end that counts. From our side, probably if I may or may not count at all, because I can maybe, do that throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
And Lord may not show mercy. And then He could show mercy for somebody who has not done. And I don't know how Lord works in His own
Yeah.
finite way. But so, which is then important? It is Lord's mercy, right?
Yeah, it's Lord's mercy. Lord's mercy. See, in our hands is just to perform endeavor. Karmani vadikari stema phaleshu kadam. We can just perform endeavor. Results are, leave it in our Lord's hand. But be, at the same time, be optimistic. That means, like, the Lord says, Ye yatham mam prapadante tam tathaiva bhajamiham. The level of surrender which they take towards me, I grant them. Well, ultimately we have to come to the stage of full surrender, right? Sarva dharman parityajo. But we cannot do it completely, it takes regular practice. Initially we surrender 5 minutes, 10 minutes, hour, 2 hours. Right, our devotees, they take a vow to chant 16 rounds of the holy name. It takes 2 hours.
Is the amount of time of surrender important, or even if you are surrendering for 5 minutes, you are completely
Well,
surrendering?
that's true.
Once ego goes away, you know there's nothing.
Yeah, so ultimately it's all about practice. Ultimately, you're right, even 5 minutes can transform you. But that 5 minutes, that quality 5 minutes, where will it come from? By practice for some time. By His mercy. By His mercy, even 5 minutes can transform you completely. By His mercy. But that's why, just like if you are graduating from a college, ultimately, you'll go as a student studying for it. Now there are exceptions where even without college, they will know everything. They don't have to go to a college. But there are exceptions. Is that all right? Yeah. I think Natwar Prabhu had a question.
And the 3 modes, in 3 activities taken, why these 3 modes, 3 modes?
Yeah.
And you said that the desires, if the desires, based on the desires, these 3 modes will be
Based on our, No, well, yeah, but based on our influence of the three modes of material nature, we'll desire accordingly. Just understand that way that, okay, if I am more in mode of ignorance, my desire will be what? My desire will be, oh, I want to sleep more, I want to eat this, so my desire will be like that.
So where are that desires sprouting from? Is it from mind or
From the soul. Conditioned soul, which is influenced by these three modes of material nature. Soul which is conditioned. Well, ultimately, the soul which is conditioned, it has all recorded influences in his mind about his past desires. Oh, when I last slept, it was so nice. When I last had alcohol, it was so nice. Those impressions are there. And those desire, the satisfaction of that desire is there recorded in the mind. And our being in illusion is recorded, where our false ego is very also more dominant in that particular situations.
so desires are not sprouting from the sense perception based on the sense objects that we see?
Well, ultimately it's coming from the soul. How does it rise? Dhyato visham pumsam. We see a sense object. Right? Now again, based on the three modes of material nature, we'll see a sense object in different ways. Right? But otherwise it arises from, initially the senses sees a sense object, the senses want to satisfy that sense object, and attachment, dhyato visham pumsam, sangat teshu upajayate. That attachment develops, then sangat sanjayate kaman. Then that desire comes that we want to enjoy the sense object. They're coming from the soul, conditioned soul. 1 minute. Conditioned soul. It's not from the body. Body is gross. Mind is just subtle. It's a subtle element.
Soul takes a new body, it will carry those desires again.
Yeah. Is that all right, Natpal Prabhu? Yes, Satya Dwakadis Prabhu, you had a point? What does that really mean? Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mam Ekam Shanam Raja. What does it really mean? What it really means is, we may have too many dharmas thinking, this dharma, that dharma, swadharma, or dharma towards the demigods, dharma towards the nation, dharma towards parents, relatives, these, that, so many different dharmas, duties, right? But when we parityaja, we give up all those dharmas and just surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is our real dharma. Which is our real dharma is just take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right. There is another verse from the Upanishad. They worship Bhuttapta Ninam Pitranam, Naking Karanam. Basically meaning that means one who has taken shelter of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, to him all the debts, either towards the demigods or to the ancestors, everything is relieved from all those debts. Otherwise we have debt to the demigods, we have debt to the ancestors, we have debt to so many things. But he is completely relieved from all kinds of that debt if he has taken complete shelter to the giver of liberation, Mukunda. Just like we see that lifetime of Prahlad Maharaj. One who becomes completely a devotee in that state of abandoning all varieties of religion, just taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. What happens to him? 14 generations before him and 14 generations after him, automatically everybody is delivered. Lord Nrsimhadev comes and asks him, okay, Prahlad, what do you want? What material benediction you want? He said, no, I'm not worshipping you for material benediction, but though my father was the king of this demon family, demon race, and he has performed so many sinful activities against you, please forgive him. And what does Nrsimhadev say? Go. Because of your birth as Prahlad Maharaj and of your performing devotional service, your father is already taking this spiritual plane, going back to the spiritual world. Right? 14 generations above him, 14 generations before him are automatically delivered. Does that answer your question, Satyadagrispa? Yeah. Both sides. Yeah. Yeah. Are there any other questions? All right, Ashish Prabhu. Go ahead. Jivera Swarupaya Nitya Krishna Das. Yeah, so what does that mean? Aham Bijapada Pita. Yes, we are the son of God. Okay, so your question is on one side, the Lord is saying, I'm the seed-giving Father, and this entire creation is my son, sons and daughters. On the other side, we are saying, Jivira Swarupaya Nitya Krishna Das. Right. So there it's servant. So what's true, son or servant? That's your question, right? Yeah. Our real identity is Jivara Swarupaya Nitya Krishna Das. Right. In what way we are the son? That okay, this entire Prakriti, the entire Prakriti is coming as the energy of the Supreme Lord. And He is the seed-giving Father. This soul is part and parcel, Mamai Vansho, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. This soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So on that context, we are the son of Lord. Each and every living entity is son of Lord from that context. But from the other context now, what is the duty of that part and parcel? Nitya Krishna Das, serve the Lord. So what is the duty of a son? Always serve the father. Yes. Yeah. So as son of the father, also he is a Das, Nitya Das, Krishna Das. Right? Not Maya Das, Krishna Das. Now with our free will, we can revive that servitorship to the Lord, to the Father, or to Maya, which is also his energy, his external energy. बहिर्मुखे, अंतर बहिर्मुखे, बहिरंग की शक्ति. Is that all right, Ashish?
Prabhu's question is that servant of the servant of the servant. We are not serving to the Lord, but we are serving to the
Well, yeah. श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय, श्री कौनिता की जय. From that words, it is Jivira Swarupa Nitya Krishna Das. Now the mood of the devotee is not just Krishna Das, is Dasanu Dasanu Das. That's the mood of a devotee. But otherwise, our real Swarupa is Nitya Krishna Das. It does not say Dasanu Das, Krishnanu Dasanu Dasanu Das. No, Krishna Das. We are servant of the Lord. But the mood of the devotee is that, oh, how can I qualify myself to even become the servant of the Lord? Let me be the servant of the servant of the servant of those serving the Lord. That's the mood of the devotee. Is that okay? Not problem. Yeah.
I think that's because of the humility.
Yeah, that's the humility. That's the mood. Yeah, it's their mood. Yes, Ajay Prabhu.
Same question related. Chaitanya Prabhu, I read one sentence. To have more wisdom, bhakti, one should be consider themselves as less than a blade of grass. How to be like that day in day, like in the same mood every day? How to be like?
Yeah. Well, so that needs to be practiced again. The humility. How can we be humble than the blade of grass, and be tolerant, more tolerant than than a tree? Now, if we stand outside in winter weather, we will freeze, right? The tree is tolerant. It's tolerating the heat. It's tolerating the cold. It does not have a blanket. It does not have anything. So basically the mood is, it's more tolerant than a tree. It's so tolerant that we also need to become more tolerant than a tree. Now, there can be so many circumstances where our tolerance will be tested, right? Our tolerance will be tested. At each and every moment our tolerance is tested, at home, at work, at so many different circumstances. But when we practice to become more tolerant, so one of the good qualities of performance of devotional service is all these good qualities develop in a human being. Right. When we dress, it's mentioned the moment you do serve the deities, more and more of your good qualities develop. It's already there, it's not, but it kind of, because of, it's covered by Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Matsarya. It is covered. So those coverings goes away slowly and slowly. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. That mirror of the heart is covered by all these anarthas. It goes away by performance of devotional service. Right. So the real mirror of the heart. Nitya Das, Jivira Swarupa, Nitya Swarupa, Nitya Krishna Das. We start feeling that, oh, we are the servant of the Lord. Right now we don't feel that, oh, no, at times we have to practice to be the servant of the Lord. Otherwise, many times we think, oh, we are with the master. Well, the Lord has to enjoy. I also have to have some stake in the Lord's enjoyment, right? But ultimately, the servant always thinks about how I can serve the master, and his enjoyment lies in the enjoyment of the master. If the master is happy, he automatically feels happy. When the root of the tree is nourished with water, automatically all the leaves starts flourishing. If the root of the tree itself is not nourished, what happens to the leaves? It will start withering away, even if you water them separately, then the root. Good? Okay, so let's go over these slides. Okay. So again, some difference. A soldier in the army may kill hundreds of people in the opposite army and get highest reward for it. Right? He's just carrying out the orders of the government or the army general. But after his retirement, if he kills somebody, he'll be punished. Right? Just like in Mahabharata, no. These rathis, the soldiers on both sides, they just fought the war. They just fought the war under the dictation of the army or the generals. So, the soldier in the first case acted on government's account by their order, and in the second case on his own behalf. Similarly, we must perform actions on Lord's account and not on our own account. Arjuna fought for the pleasure of Krishna and is glorified even today. Duryodhana fought for his own personal gain. And we became infamous. Arjuna knew that everything is moving and acting under the supreme will of Krishna and that he is only an instrument, puppet in Krishna's hands, to be used in the way Krishna wanted to use him. This is the way of acting without entanglement. Similarly, we should work according to Krishna's interest as follows. Right? Krishna's interest. Krishna tells Yudhishthira Maharaj that, at one particular junction of the battle, in the battle of Mahabharata, he tells Yudhishthira Maharaj to tell a lie. He tells Bhima this elephant, his name is Aswatthama, you kill that elephant. And then he tells Yudhishthira Maharaj to tell that, Aswatthama is dead. Right? Because Dronacharya was not going to believe anybody else but Yudhishthira Maharaj. So as soon as Bhima, after hitting the elephant and killing the elephant, he started proclaiming, Aswatthama is dead, Aswatthama is dead. Dronacharya said, that's not possible. I know the prowess of Bhima, I know the prowess of my son. And it's not possible for Bhima to defeat my son. Right. So he said, the only person I can believe is Yudhishthira Maharaj. So he goes to Yudhishthira Maharaj and asks, this is right? And Krishna guides Yudhishthira Maharaj beforehand that Dronacharya will come and ask you. But you have to tell a lie. Right. And Yudhishthira Maharaj for a moment hesitates. And because for a moment he hesitated, his chariot, which was 6 inches above ground, falls back to the ground. Because he hesitated to follow Krishna's will. Now, Krishna's instructions are absolute. Absolute of -2 is also 2, absolute of 2 is also 2. Krishna's will is completely absolute. Right. We cannot question Krishna's activities. Oh, why he killed, as Lord Ramachandra, he killed Bali from the back. A Kshatriya will not do that. But a Kshatriya will not also come on the battlefield with heavy boons. Bali Maharaj had a boon, not Bali Maharaj, Bali had a boon that if he fights with anybody face to face, the opposite person's strength will diminish in the fight. The more he fights, the opposite person's strength will diminish. He had a boon. Lord Ramachandra knew about the boon because he's the Supreme Lord himself. Right. So, just because we cannot question, but there are many hidden moments. He knows past, present, and future. He knows past, present, and future. Right. Yeah, so you can question, but then has to be questioned in devotion, not in a challenging mood. That, oh, you are all trickster, you are all these, like Duryodhana. Right. He questioned like that. Yes.
Even though Yudhishthira said that,
Yeah.
he lost his toe while he was going to heaven. So he was punished in spite of following Lord's order. So even if you follow the fruit of your sinful action, you may still follow him.
Yeah.
But you would expect the Lord to save you because you follow this.
Yeah. Well, yes. So that particular part is mentioned because he hesitated to follow Lord's order. Initially he hesitated to follow Lord's order. And because of even that moment of hesitation, for one day he had to go to Khalid's planets. Right, one day. Well, now it's for a, no, it was very advanced, it's Dharmaraj himself. But what Lord Krishna, through his devotees, is mentioning that, okay, at the end, even for a moment, you don't question. In that particular, such a crucial stage of the war, you don't question. And if you question, you bear the consequences of that. Right, you bear the consequences of that. Yeah. Now, at the same time, the devotees of the Lord, again, are not, at times they are, when they perform these activities, it is more for instructions to common man. They're covered by Yoga Maya, the internal energy of the Lord, so that, they send messages to common people. Like this entire beginning of Bhagavad-Gita, where Arjuna is put in illusion that I do not want to fight this war. Why? Oh, in front of me is my grandfather, my spiritual master, and so many people, I do not want to fight the war. And he gives the reason not to fight the war. Now just before the Mahabharata started, in the battle of Virata, he fought against all of them. By himself. He fought against all of them. At that time he didn't say, I didn't want to fight the war. Right. So at times the devotees of the Lord are covered under the Yogamaya spell, so that through them the Lord enacts these wonderful instructions in the form of Bhagavad-Gita to establish this broken disciplic succession. Yudhishthira Maharaj, after the entire war is done, he is so morose and dejected. He said, oh, forget it, just because of me becoming king, so many people died, so many people left their body. I don't want to become the king, I'll go to the Himalayas. He's covered under the spell. So to enlighten him, Lord Krishna takes him to Bhishma Pitama, who has that Ichcha Mrityu Vardhan, that is just waiting for that incident to happen, that Yudhishthira Maharaj comes, he passes on the wisdom of prescribed duties of a king, and then he sees the Lord, and right seeing the Lord, he can lead his life. Same spell, Yogamaya spell. So that's how it is. Vibhishan left his demonic brother Raman and joined Lord Ram. Although these activities may apparently appear to be contrary to moral principles, we should understand that they are on a transcendental plane. Krishna is the father of religion, of dharma. In a dark room, a candle may certainly be good. Mundane moral principles are like that. But sun rises in the sky. When sun rises in the sky, what is the stand of an insignificant candle? That sun is like the wheel of Lord Krishna. Right? Krishna is Surya Sama, Maya hai Andhkar. Jahan Krishna wa, nahi Maya Adhikar. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. Right? There's action, forbidden action, and inaction. Action is karma, forbidden action is vikarma, inaction is akarma. By performance of that, we do not get positive or negative reactions. Right. Krishna is our mother, father, relative, friend, be all and end all. He knows what is best for every living entity. He acts in a way to bring good to every living entity. Lord is never immoral. He is absolute. He is always good. When mother slaps or embraces a child, she truly loves the child. Similarly, Krishna may kill demons and favor devotees, but it is all for everyone's good. Even by killing the demons, he delivers them. He is showing his compassion by killing them. So Lord's activities are supramundane, and devotees should just cooperate with the Lord. Right? Like he is blessing Dhruva Maharaj, on the other side he is killing Hiranyakashipu and delivering Hiranyakashipu. Okay, this famous topic about welfare work. Feeding the poor, doing charity, opening hospitals are only secondary to genuinely taking care of the soul through spiritual education and practices. Just like parrot in the golden cage. This is old lady, she has a parrot in this golden cage, and she is every day cleaning the cage. Right? Oh, it is made of gold, so let me make sure that the cage is all polished. There is no speck of dirt on it. But while cleaning the cage, she forgets to take care of the parrot within. What happens to the parrot? Parrot will die. Similarly, if we just take care of our body, without taking care, nourishing our soul, right? Mrityu will come in form of death, will take us away, and we'll still be encaged within our body. Right? Yeah. Or if somebody goes for swimming and is drowning, and somebody goes to save that person, and he just pulls out the jacket, right? What happens? He loses the person. And he says, I saved this golden dress, but The real worth is if he would have saved the millionaire, he would have gotten more money. Yeah. So many times, how do you expect people to understand God before filling up the belly? Yes, certainly we will provide prasad, which is all good for the satisfaction of the belly, as well as the spirit soul. God has provided for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. People are put into problems because they have ignored the authority of the Supreme Lord, are engaging themselves in sinful activities. Until people give up their tendency to lead a sinful life, any solution in the form of food, clothing, shelter, job, money, comfort is not going to bring peace in their lives. Many times on the material platform, we just think about roti, kapda, makan, right? So there's this very nice analogy given about a rich man and his son who goes to this festival. And in that festival, the rich man and the son get separated out. Right? Now the son, he is crying, searching for his father. He cannot find his father. Right? While he is traveling to search for his father, he becomes hungry. So somebody gives him food. He fills up his belly. For a while, he stops crying. But again, then he remembers that, oh, still I'm lost for my father. And he starts crying. Right? And then, suddenly, rain starts pouring. His clothes are all wet. Somebody comes and gives him cloth. Fresh, dry clothes. He wears his clothes, he feels cozy and he stops crying for a while. But he's still lost from his father, so he starts crying. While walking, he gets, not only missed by a car, the car kind of hits him, he's injured. People take him to the hospital, a band-aid, this, that. So, when you are injured, the pain of the body overpowers your pain of your separation from your father, right? So, when that injury is taken care of, he again starts crying because he's still lost from his father. So, the fourth person, when he is driving by, he sees him, he gets him in the car, starts asking him, can you describe your father? Hare Krishna. Can you describe your father? Can you describe the place where you are staying? And ultimately, he connects him to his real father. So who is more intelligent? The person who gave him food, the person who gave him cloth, the person who gave him medicine, or the person who directly connected him to the lost father? So all of them did some pious activity, that they were giving them something. But the fourth person, a saintly person, really connected him to the lost father. Right? So that's our situation. So this past time about fourth man saw that the child is the son of man. He felt great compassion upon seeing the present plight of the child and took the child back to the father. So we are all lost from our real father. We are all lost from our real father. So Dhanasri Prabhu, we can just give him the book, in 16, Bhagavad-Gita, son. Yeah. The father's joy knew no bounds. He embraced the child and soaked him in an ocean of love. He gave the child everything. Right. So similarly, when we are connected back to the supreme abode of Krishna, the Lord is He's waiting for us to embrace us. He's waiting for us to embrace us, that when we are reconnected back to Him. Krishna is our eternal well-wisher and Father. Once you go back to Krishna, then all your needs will be fulfilled. Sammoham sarva bhuteshu na me dvesho asina priyaha. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Art of dying in Krishna consciousness. So Lord Krishna exhibited his universal form to Arjuna. Yeah. So, Mrityu sarva haraschaham. I will take away everything at the time of death. Foolish people, without realizing the temporary nature of their materialistic pursuits, waste their valuable time. Death comes without announcement. We will be checked out of our body at any time. So, it's mentioned that life is a preparation, death is an examination. So, we should prepare ourselves in such a way, yam yam vapi smaran bhava tyajate ante kalevaram, or ante kale chamam evam smaran muktva kalevaram. Whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. You should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Bala Subhadra Mai ki jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Right? So, if I serve him, I go back to him. If I take a ticket to Calcutta, I reach Calcutta, not Chennai. Unless one has aspired to love and serve Krishna while being in his body, he cannot expect to go to the supreme abode, to join the Lord and his eternal pastimes. Then we talk about this impersonal form and the personal form of the Lord, the Brahma Jyoti. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. One's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death. So the way we lead our present life is going to decide our next life. So always think of Krishna, never forget Krishna, I think. Yep. So many wonderful slides. But I think I will like to leave you all with this message of always think of Krishna, never forget Krishna. Yeah. And that's the end of our session 4. Come to session 5 and 6. It's a long session tomorrow, session 5 and 6. You can start early. 2 to 4. So come sharp at 2 o'clock. Come sharp at 2 o'clock. So 2 to 4 we begin. 1 hour we discuss on this yoga and then practical application of these teachings. How do we practically apply in our life, day-to-day life? These teachings are good, but how do we practically apply in our day-to-day life? That's very important. Good. Any last questions or something from these recent slides? We had wonderful discussions in between. Thank you very much. There is prasadam on the other side. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Jai.